All right. Hello again, everybody, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Kingdom of the Kael Isles. Yes, this is my custom D&D campaign uh, set in my own really bizarre custom world, and these are all my lovely players. One of which has turned into a black screen.
Hmm.
So the darkness spell.
Darkness spell. Okay.
Oh, 20, don't do this on us.
She's back. Cool. Um so to bring you guys all up to speed, um you're in the Feywild. Um you guys found out some interesting stuff about the Chosen War and Chosen in general and kind of what they can and can't do and uh, decided to blow off some steam by participating in a tournament. Um, there was a qualifying round. Three of you qualified, and now we're so far. Avok has succeeded in his first match.
Yay!
And Fade and Kata have yet to face their first adversary. So we're gonna pick up right where we left off. Again, Avok, right after your axe found its uh, found purchase in the armor of your opponent, and you smelled the familiar scent of spilt blood. The cave that you were in kind of slowly faded out of existence. You were on a familiar dirt floor. You saw clerics rushing in to heal the man that had just taken a great axe to the side or face or wherever you hit him. I've forgotten.
Actually, I think I just bashed his head against a cave floor. What was
Oof.
floor?
Still,
Ow!
lots of blood.
Yeah.
Probably reconstructive surgery in his future.
It's his bit of scratch.
Just a flesh wound.
Uh, Another person comes out, grabs your arm, raises it in the air, declares you the winner, and then kind of leads you off to the waiting area. That you're welcome to, like, you can stay and watch the kind of projection in the champion's waiting area, or you can leave and go up to the stands and visit with Willow and Elaine, who are watching it from up there.
Yeah, actually, I think I'll head to the stands.
Okay. And as you kind of wander through, uh, just because my head is filled with baseball right now, because the Brewers are in the playoffs, guys. Um, and that doesn't happen much, even though they got spanked by the Dodgers tonight. Um, it's kind of like if you've ever been to a football or a baseball stadium, whereas you're kind of walking out, there's places to buy food, and just it's a very entertainment kind of atmosphere. And a few people recognize you as you're walking around. Not a ton, because it was a preliminary match, but you were one of the first. So a couple people point you out. You have a couple kids that, kind of look at you with awe and then run back to their parents because you're a real big guy, kind of intimidating.
Mm.
But you're able to make it up to the stands and find Willow and Elaine without too much difficulty. While you are doing that, other matches are going on. And as you get to the top of the stands, you watch as you get up there right as the battlefield below is kind of transformed into this very picturesque kind of rolling hills, plains area. There's tall grass and bushes and things like that. And you watch this Eladrin with an incredibly intricate looking rapier sit there and just skewer this Genasi with a great sword. And as the Genasi kind of collapses and the clerics come on, you watch it kind of fade back down to the regular dirt field or dirt circle that you're used to. And you're kind of now understanding what the audience sees. So that happens. Is there anything you want to say to Elaine or Willow when you get there?
I imagine Elaine's probably off doing.
Elaine is close enough that you can kind of see him every so often, but he keeps kind of wandering around. And every time he comes back, he seems to jingle more.
We really should put a bell on him.
Willow has noticed,
May not
and it's just
have
like,
to do that
Okay.
pretty soon here.
Yeah, put a bell on one of his daggers or something.
But he's
Very effective.
he seems to be having a blast. You do hear every so often some commotion in other parts of the stands where people start yelling about missing things, but thus far, Elaine seems shocked and appalled that anyone would use such a noble event for dastardly deeds.
Coming from the road!
Avog's not gonna worry about that. I mean, he's been with Elaine long enough to know that's what he does. It's what it is. Okay, so I guess you guys are, you're seeing what enjoy the show, I guess.
yes, it's definitely less pressure being on this side of it.
Okay. So
But
Right.
as you guys are saying that, you see the field start to darken a little bit, which, Willow, you've seen this a few times now. Every time this happens, magic will be used to change it into something else for the combat. So this is kind of the signal that the next round is starting. I'll have Fade pick Fade even or odd.
Odd.
All right. You're up next.
so
Okay.
just before I lost Avok, I did want to give him my transmuter stone.
Okay.
Set to dark vision.
Remind me what that does.
It gives him dark vision while he's holding onto it.
Oh. Does
Or
he
that's
have
what
to
it's set
hold
to
on
right
to
now.
it, or can it just be on his person?
On this person.
Okay.
I could have used this earlier, probably, but
Well,
I still
in case it happens again,
that's fair.
good luck.
All right. Well, I'll stick around for a bit and see how this next match goes. I wonder who's up next. Probably some schmuck.
Fade, I've forgotten your family name.
Moonbreeze.
Moonbreeze. There you go. And would you give them your family name, or would you choose some other title?
Absolutely not.
Okay, so what title would you give them for your? Because they would ask
Champion Fade
champion. Okay, so you hear
of the material plane.
and now champion from the material plane, Fade versus
Yeah, definitely a schmuck.
Kinoi, the unseen.
Oh.
Helps if I roll the right dice.
So,
But here he can't be seen.
This will be fun.
No, it won't.
So Fade, you hear your name called, and as the door lowers in front of you, you're hit by a blast of freezing cold air.
Brr.
As you walk out, you can see your breath, and it actually burns a little bit to breathe. Like the air is so cold that it just that really it takes you a few minutes to adjust to the extreme change in temperature. There is what seems to be a blizzard going on, almost whiteout conditions, though not quite. You can see roughly about 30 to 45 feet in front of you without too much difficulty, and then big things you can see a little bit further. Like you can see what looks like a few small groupings of evergreen trees to the west. You can see a large mound of snow and ice. You're not exactly sure of its composition, but it rises up about 20 or 30 feet easily in various places. And then there are snow drifts just about everywhere. And then in the very center of the arena, you see the snow kind of shift and fade just long enough for you to see on the far end your opponent. He's clad in black cloth. You can see emblazoned on his tunic is a holy symbol of the Dark Lady. And in between you two, you can see there's an area where the snow isn't sticking. As the blizzard kind of gets lighter for a second, and it takes you just a couple of seconds to figure out why there's no snow there. It is a large sheet of ice, probably a good 30 or 40 feet in diameter, that you think is probably a frozen lake or something similar to it. The Platinum City is close enough to the whole of the Kael Isles is not particularly. It's a relatively temperate place, but the further north you get away from just the northern tip of where Draconis is, that would technically be where the equator is on the planet. So the Platinum City every so often would get snow. Not anything super heavy, but you've seen snow before. And if you've been to any of the other islands, there's probably one or two of the northern islands that gets it kind of somewhat winter, but this is worse than anything you've ever experienced.
Okay.
So
You're in Canada.
He
Well-
is.
we get winters like this in Wisconsin. So
That's true.
Yeah, let's just name a place farther north.
Uh, so,
Okay.
after that brief, probably about 3 or 4 minutes of the snow letting out for a little bit, it picks up again, and you can no longer see him, and he no longer can see you.
Can I?
Roll me a perception check real quick.
Oh boy. Okay. D20 plus. Oh, wow. Oh, okay. Plus 9, 19.
Okay. In the brief amount of time you were able to look at him, you did notice that he wasn't wielding any weapons at the moment, and his hands, unlike yours that have you wear gauntlet, you have your gauntlet, and then on your other hand you have a glove on.
Mhm.
He was not. He was completely bare hand, even in this weather.
Sure.
And you did see what looked like maybe some throwing knives or something similar. They were very hard to pick out from there, but there were some glints of metal on his belt.
Okay.
But you didn't see any like big weapons.
Okay. Could I cast a prep spell as soon as I open the doors open up? I don't know the rules of this. I guess once I'm in the snow, I probably cast the false life on myself.
Yeah, they would allow you a little bit. Generally, one spell prep work they would
That's
allow
fine.
before the match starts, just because spellcasters are a little bit at disadvantage if they don't have mage armor.
Okay.
Okay, so you cast your false life on yourself.
I do.
And you feel kind of almost this little barrier around your skin where the cold doesn't bite quite as hard, but it's still very, very cold. It's remarkably difficult to keep your footing in your chainmail armor in this cold. And you notice that it does stick a little bit if you stay in one place or you don't move for
Okay.
too long. But as long as you keep moving, you don't think you'll have a problem.
Okay.
So I need an initiative roll from you.
That's a whopping 21.
Damn.
Right?
Impressive. So as you are sitting there trying to figure out what's going on, you can hear movement. And before you can react, from a side that you weren't quite expecting it from, you see a black-clad foot coming directly for your face.
Ah! I am scared. I put my shield up.
Don't think a 3's gonna hit.
Not today.
The foot doesn't even connect. You just kind of... But instantly, as he plants that foot, another one comes straight for your chest. Man, am I rolling poorly. Ignore this guy. He does that, and then you watch him, with an unnatural amount of speed, dash back off into the blizzard.
I don't like that. Okay.
So what would you like?
Rather than chase him,
Okay.
I'm a little bit nervous about the speed at which this guy's moving. I mean, he was in front of me and then not. So I think I will kind of like center myself, because I'm really kind of thrown about by his tabard there, his tunic.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And remember, you have not only yourself, you have the environment around you.
Sure. So I think, and there was no snow on the icy lake, right?
Snow was blowing across it, but it wasn't sticking to the lake. You're not certain how much of the lake uh, is covered in snow because the snow will pile up on the edges of the lake, but the center it
Okay.
generally won't. So
Okay. Then I think I'm going to run towards. So I'm like, I don't know, 15 or so feet. I'm going towards the edge of the lake. Can I get there?
yeah, let's say with your movement, as you're moving forward, your armor feels remarkably heavy at
Yeah.
first, and you're moving. But as you move a little bit more, it kind of loosens up a little bit, and it feels normal, if not very cold.
Okay.
And after you go, um, for most of your movement, you feel instead of the soft kind of uh, crunching sound you normally hear as your boots impact the snow, you suddenly hear this very sharp cracking sound as you step on the snow and something underneath it cracks.
Okay.
And your boot drops just a little bit to solid ground underneath
Okay.
it. You think you've probably just stepped on the edge of the lake, and you can now see the lake itself. And you still have about, let's say, 10 feet of movement left. So if you wanted to get out on it, you could.
I think Fade stops when that happens and takes like a step back and
Mhm.
recognizing that he's probably going to get hit from sides that he doesn't want to. He turns his back to the lake and brings out his spiritual tombstone and kind of sets it like 5-10 feet in front of him and just kind of holds up his shield and just waits. And I'm going to take the dodge action. And I'm
Okay.
going to see if I can just let this guy come to me.
So you sit there and you have your glowing shield radiating its deep indigo uh, radiance and your gauntlet, and you're just kind of sitting there waiting. Um, and sure enough, you hear the familiar sound of this time coming from uh, because you're waiting. I'm going to have you make me a perception check.
Sure. 21.
So the wind is so loud, it's very difficult to hear where things are coming from. But you focus and you hear coming from your left the sound, and suddenly you see a dark figure flying at you even faster than before, and you notice that it's not on the ground.
Okay.
And you see a foot flying at you, and he's doing a flying side kick. And it looks like he's aiming directly for your shield.
Okay.
So I need an athletics check from you. Dear Lord, he's
Don't
not
worry.
going to do anything to you.
I don't. Even though I'm super strong, I don't have great athletics, so I'm going to roll a total of a 5.
All right. So as he comes forward, he actually impacts your shield, which at first seems weird because it seemed like he was aiming for it. And suddenly you realize why. All the force behind his kick goes into your shield, and he knocks you flying backwards onto the ice.
Sweet.
Uh, Make me an acrobatics check.
Sweet. That's another 5.
You land on your back and skid across the ice. You can feel your armor scraping and cutting the ice. Shards of ice and shaved ice are flying up in your face. And as you kind of skid to a stop, you're about center, off center of this lake. The ice hasn't really cracked or anything other than where you initially hit. You can see some cracks there, but it seems like the ice, it's got some decent thickness to it. But you're on your back, and your vision's kind of swimming a little bit from just getting the wind knocked out of you when you hit.
Okay.
And you watch him kind of circle around a little bit, grabbing at the shining objects on his belt.
Can I tell how many he had?
You not then. You
Okay.
can try now.
As they enter my face.
Well, he's not throwing them yet because that was his turn. Was him
Gotcha.
getting you onto the ice.
Okay.
But if you want to roll a perception check real quick, you're gonna make it with disadvantage because you're still a little winded. But
Sure. 19
okay,
with disadvantage.
it looks from what you can see, he's standing kind of sideways to you, so you can't see the other half of his belt.
Okay.
But on the belt that you can see, you see 4 roughly star-shaped metal items.
Okay.
Sure.
And then you also see he's wearing kind of like a bandolier, and you can see what looks like little daggers that have kind of a loop on the end. And you can see about 6 of those.
Okay.
So it looks like the things on his belt would probably be really good at slashing and cutting deep, whereas the ones on the bandolier look to be designed a little more for piercing.
Right on. Okay.
And they look to be a little bit heavier, the ones on the bandolier. They have more weight to them.
Okay. So he's just kind of prowling around, making another run around?
Well, he kicked you. He moved around to get a better position. Before he can make another attack, you get to act. So this is all happening. Again, each one of these is 6 seconds. So
I think that at that point I do my Misty Step so that I end up right behind him, and I'm going to go ahead and try
this
to
is cool.
inflict some pain on this guy.
Okay.
So I will Misty Step right behind him. I'll wait till he goes like towards my tombstone if he does, like where I first started.
When he came by, he passed right next to it, but unfortunately, spiritual weapons don't get.
Yeah. No, I just want to end up.
He saw it
here.
and he purposefully circled away from it
Ah.
because he
That's fine.
flew right past it. So
Okay, I will kind of like from my like back laying on the ground position. I kind of like put my hands up, like in the like about where a head would be, and then I Misty Step behind him, and I just kind of grab him on the side of the head and try to hurt him.
okay. Are you? I'm assuming you're using like inflict wounds or something.
Yeah, I mean, if I have to level it, I'll say like a 3rd level or something.
Sure. So as you sit there and you Misty Step, I am going to give you advantage on the roll
Nice.
because he
I'll
wasn't
take it.
expecting you to just poof.
I'll take it. So that ends up being a 24 to hit with advantage. Thankfully,
Just to clarify, the Misty Step you're using is your
the Eladrin version,
Eladrin. Okay,
my daily.
cool. So you sit there, and the rest of you guys are watching as Fade just gets knocked on his ass and skids. And then you watch him hold up his hands, and he almost looks like he has this look of defeat on him. And then instantly he just vanishes, and suddenly you see him behind the other combatant, and he turns around as soon as he realizes Fade's behind him and comes with like a haymaker. And Fade, you just grab his arm right here as he comes around with the haymaker, and you just squeeze, and you watch this energy just pulse into him, and he falls back a little bit just from the sheer agony as you see blisters and things appear over his bare hands. You see them go up his neck and onto his face a little bit. And because he's on the ice, I rolled badly. He plants on the ice and skids a little bit. Is there anything else you want to do? You haven't technically moved yet.
I think I'm good where I'm at.
Because he's now about 10 feet away from you as he skid across the ice.
Yeah, I think I want to just kind of try to not lose track of him and just kind of track him with my eyes from where I'm at. If I can, like, maybe back up just a little so that I'm off the direct ice at this point.
You back up to the point where you're on the snow-covered portion of it, where you're relatively certain even if you went through, you'd have wet feet. And that would be the worst of it.
Sounds
where
good.
he is, you don't know how deep it is, but he's definitely over the deepest part of, or one of the deepest parts of the lake. You watch him whirlwind kick his way up, takes two of the kunai and just starts throwing them at you in rapid succession.
Yep.
God, I can't roll. All right, so as he sits there and he's just throwing these things, you bring up your shield and the first one gets deflected off, but you're surprised by the weight behind these. Like they're only looking about that big.
Okay.
And they're have a tetrahedral shape to the point, you know. So they're big and they're heavy. So you're expecting a little bit, but when they impact, they have so much more force than you're really expecting. The first one knocks your shield back, and the second one goes right into your side, through your chainmail, and pierces. And you can feel that it's in there. You're thinking if you pull it out, you'll start to bleed, which will end the fight. Because it's gotten good.
Okay.
But you are not bleeding as of yet. So first blood has not happened. And as he does that, he crouches down a little bit and kind of and just sits there holding, waiting for you to get closer.
Okay. I think. Oh man. Could I
feel free to use weird things in weird ways?
I think I want to try to like. I want to go over to. Actually, I guess I'm on the edge of the water now, so I will put a hand over the thing and cast Cure Wounds, just as I pull it out, so that I don't bleed. Is that something I could do?
Yeah, if you want to try and you don't.
You know what?
Feel like
I'll do.
It's
Go
not
ahead.
preventing you from doing anything.
Sure.
You got hit.
Yeah. Well, if it's the first blood, I'm kind of scared that there's a sharp thing in me. So
yeah, it's descriptive. Let's say more than.
Okay, cool. All right, then I will not do that. Instead, I will cast another spell, and like a shell of energy, kind of like just for a second, like goes over me like a dome, and I just have my spiritual weapon come up right onto the ice and just give him the whole like bring it.
Okay.
And I'm casting anti-life shell.
Remind me how that works.
He will not be able to get through. His thrown stuff can, but his body cannot get through.
Okay.
Unless he's undead, which maybe.
You never know.
Yep.
He's gonna make a roll. He knows that spell, and he knows it's dumb for him to run up to you.
Come at me, bro.
So he realizes he's not in the most opportune place right now. So you watch him make some signs with his hands, and then the lights go out.
Nice.
And
Okay.
then, yeah, you've no idea what happens
Can
next. You
can
hear a
I
little bit of movement, but
can I focus on that sound and just get a sense if he's still on the ice?
you actually can't hear him move on the ice because
Okay.
he's not wearing a hard-soled shoe.
Okay.
You do hear crunching snow, but I'll need a perception check for you to know what
Sure.
direction it is.
22
22.
to here.
Okay. You're able to kind of tell he moved off towards the grove of trees,
Okay.
which is basically just the opposite direction that you were in.
Okay. I guess I'm going to have to make a guess here, and I'm going to cast a spell in his general direction at this point.
Okay.
Let's see. Oh, sure, I'll get him. So, at a spot that I specify, so wherever I think he is, I'm going to cast Dawn, which is a 30-foot radius sphere of daylight, and I'm trying to burn him.
Okay. Don't you need to be able to see? You need line of sight for it.
Nope, not that one.
Okay. All right.
And I think, yeah,
Because you're
when
guessing.
that happens, it's concentration. So as soon as I cast it, I'm going to run in a different direction so that I'm hopefully get out of this darkness.
Okay. Because you're kind of guessing.
Yep,
Choose even or odd.
even.
All right. So you sit there and you focus. And what's the range on this spell? Like how far away can you cast it?
I can cast it up to 60 feet away, and it's a 30-foot radius sphere, so 60-foot big old circle.
Oh, okay. And it creates daylight, right?
Yep, it's basically a con save from him for some radiant damage, or
actually, more thinking.
and it gives
along the
daylight.
line
Yeah.
Of it actually would intersect the darkness spell, and it's
Yeah.
higher than second level. So as you cast it, the lights turn on again, and at first you're actually a little bit blinded from the spell going off. Even just where it is, you've just created a mini sun, but you are no longer blind. What's your spell save DC?
It is 17.
He makes it. So he kind of covers his face. Because of the additional light, the extreme blizzard that you have, you can see basically the whole area that's illuminated by this daylight spell.
Mm-hmm.
You have no problem seeing in that specific area, whereas everywhere else you can only see about 30 feet in front of you.
Okay.
So you watch him kind of see it cover his eyes a little bit. Does he take half damage from a save?
Yeah, it'll be a grand whopping 9 radiant damage.
Okay, so you see him go up, and you can see some of the blisters themselves kind of pop in that, not releasing any blood or anything, but definitely, and you can see a few new blisters show up from the burn he gets from it. And you are where are you moving? You can see now.
Yeah, I'm just trying to kind of think tactically, and where my spiritual weapon is, I'm gonna kind of move in a direction where if he comes at me from where I see him, my spiritual weapon can tangentially come at him from an angle. Think of a football field, so it can hunt him down, basically, if he comes at me. I'm just guessing.
Yeah,
I want to anticipate where he's going.
You can see him very clearly. He had almost made it to the edge of these trees.
Okay.
When you did this, and your sphere of light actually illuminates one of the trees. It goes that far.
Okay, that's it.
Okay. So he's seeing his plan kind of fail. Yeah. He's going to, you watch him just run straight at you.
Yup.
and he's making hand signals again, and suddenly the world becomes perfectly silent.
Boo.
And he gets all the way up to you, but as soon as he gets right up to you, you're able to react because that was the end of his turn. But
Gotcha. Okay. Then I
you
will.
seem to be like he's right next to you. He looks like he's about to throw another punch, and
Sure.
he actually has taken one of the kunai from his bandolier, and he's gripping it kind of like a dagger in one hand, and the other hand is open. So
Then I will simply. Can my weapon get to me with its movement on this turn if I use my bonus action to continue moving it?
since it can only move about 20 feet, it'll be
Yep.
it'll be slightly short.
Okay, then I won't do that. Instead, I will throw a guiding bolt at him.
Does it have verbal components?
Oh, it probably does, hey?
Yeah, you can't cast. I believe
Sure
the
does.
majority of your spells you cannot cast.
Just some. Just some. Then we will bring the weapon over, and I will attack him with a mace.
Alright.
Not your claw.
Fuck no, I don't want anyone especially touching it, especially him.
Oh, okay.
So I will 26 to hit with a mace.
That'll hit.
And that's a whopping d6, so 6 damage.
Okay.
And then the bonus action will be to bring the weapon closer.
Okay.
That's it.
He's looking rough. You can see bruises appearing. You see little cuts on his face from where you hit him. He actually tried to block because he anticipated that claw coming around. And so he moved his hands to ready for the claw, and the mace just kind of blindsided him. So he very quickly readjusted, tried to block it, missed it. You smashed his face. There's a couple shallow cuts. You can see a little bit of red, but he's not technically bleeding yet.
Sure.
He very quickly throws 2 punches at your torso. Wow.
I'm rocking 19 with the shield out.
It's a 19 exactly.
Nice.
So the first one he hits and hits a hard part of your armor, and you feel nothing. The second one though hits the exact spot where the kunai had gone in, and you feel a sharp pain, and suddenly you feel just this force go through your entire body, and I need a Constitution save.
A whopping 13.
You feel your muscles seize for a moment,
Sure.
and you are stunned.
Sure.
And then he kind of, seeing you stunned, just very slowly walks around behind you with the kunai, goes and tries to stab you again with it.
Sure.
He, even with you stunned, can't seem to find an opening in your armor. And he just remains behind you. You are stunned, so he goes for another 2 attacks. He tries to trip you and knock you onto the ground again. I need a strength contest.
I fail. I'm stunned.
Oh yeah, you auto fail. So you hit the ground.
Wait, doesn't that stun last till the end of his turn, which had passed?
The end of the monk's next turn.
Yeah, he's got fury and all that monk nonsense.
Okay.
Yeah, stun lasts until the end of the monk's next turn.
Gotcha.
It's a really useful ability.
Yup.
Uh,
Yeah, I think we know better than to ask a monk user how these things work.
As you're on the ground, he does 2 punches to your face, and you can feel some bones crunching. You can feel your lip start to split a little bit. You are dangerously close to uh, starting to bleed now.
Sure thing.
But he doesn't. Uh, he doesn't do the stunning strike again, so you just see him get back into a defensive posture.
Sure. Okay. So I'm currently stunned, so I will bonus
No,
action.
you're not.
Oh, not? Okay.
The stun, and he just took 2 turns
Gotcha.
basically. So
Gotcha. Okay. At the end of the first one, could the spiritual weapon take a swing at him
it has to be controlled by you, right?
as a bonus action? Yeah.
Yeah, you don't have a bonus action when you're stunned. So.
Okay. Sounds good. Then I
However,
will.
it is now your turn. So
Yep.
if you wanted it now to do it, it could.
No, it's fine. I will. If he stands up and goes defensive, I will disengage and run out of what I assume is the silence area.
Okay, it takes your entire movement to get there because you have to stand up.
Yep.
He does take a swing at you as you try to.
I disengaged.
Yep, I know. He does take a swing at you as you get up and try to run. Misses completely as you run away. Once you reach the edge of the barrier, you instantly hear the sound kind of kick back in.
Indeed.
What do you want to do?
I think at this point I will healing word myself now that I can cast a spell just to get some. Actually, no, I probably have my false life hit points still, so I won't do that. Instead, I will move the dawn on top of him.
You can move that too?
Oh no, it's concentration. I would have lost it when I got stunned. I cannot do that, but I can. Yeah.
Does stun kill concentration?
I'm sure.
Yeah, I guess it does.
Yeah.
You can cast it again if you want.
No, I'll mark him for death because I'm done with this guy, and then
Okay.
I'll turn around and stare at him.
What does
Not
that
gonna use spiritual
do
weapon.
again? Yeah, and you still have your spiritual weapon's about 10 feet away from him, so.
Yeah, does a 15 hit him for the weapon?
Not quite, unfortunately.
Yeah. No. So I use my grave cleric thing, so the next attack is going to really hurt him if I get a chance.
Okay.
The vulnerability thing.
He's gonna run up to you and try punching you again.
If he does hit me, I will shield reaction.
Ignore that. It's a little bit better. That's a 19. So
That
he
will
does hit you. However, you're going to absorb it in your shield.
Yep.
Okay. This is going to be weird. Make a con save.
Sure. Total of 19.
Oh, you're fine. Doesn't matter. You feel, again, the weight of his kick is so much more than you think it should be that it knocks your shield into you. But you're able to kind of shake it off a little bit. And then lightning fast, he just comes back with a double kick. That's a hit. Are you going to shield it again?
I only have the one reaction.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, he kicks once. You can feel the kind of warmth in your nose as you can feel blood starting to rush. You're sniffing furiously to keep it in. He comes around for another swing. That's a massive miss. You're thinking one more shot from him and you're gone.
Okay.
You're up. And he's sitting there and he's breathing pretty heavily. He just hits you as fast as he possibly could.
Sure, I will make like I'm going to swing at him with the mace and like an overhead swing, but I'm going to leave the mace like in the air and drop it and come down with just a fist and try to do some more inflict wounds damage to him with a 26 to hit.
Okay.
Boy.
How do you want to do this?
Yeah.
Oh, just that. Like mace in hand, let go, hit him with the open hand right on the top of his head. And I'm going to pat him on the head as I suck the life out of him. Nice try, friend.
So he sees the mace coming, and you see something that you've never seen before. Instead of bringing his arm up to block it, you watch him come, and it looks like he's going to try and kick the mace out of your hand.
Nice.
And so he comes up to kick the mace, and you just grab his foot in midair, and with your gauntleted hand, you just kind of pat him on the head and watch as veins just start to bulge and out of his tear ducts, blood out of his ears, out of his nose.
That's gotta hurt.
And then he just kind of collapses down, breathing heavily, and suddenly the wind stops. The air starts to clear. You're on the familiar kind of dirt circle that is the arena. You hear the crowd just screaming and erupting in applause as you're declared the winner. The clerics come out.
I'd like to help him up myself.
Okay.
I want to try to whisper in his ear before the clerics get here. We should have a talk.
So as he gets up, he kind of just looks at you and he gives you a nod, kind of smacks you on the shoulder a little bit, and then as he backs up, he does a very ceremonial bow and then just kind of walks away. As the clerics are trying to get to him, he's just kind of waving them off.
Sounds good.
And he walks away. You're taken back to the Champions Lounge.
My lounge, yep.
Yeah. Where the other champions are. You do notice where it used to be pretty packed, it's starting to get much more sparse. And
I anxiously await Kata's bout.
you see, as you're coming in, you pass by Kata as she's just walking out to go to her bout.
I give her a false light on the way out. I give her a high five.
You do know that would be against the rules?
I don't do that at all.
What?
I don't do that at all then.
Okay. So, Kata, you are called, and you get the feeling that you're probably one of the last combatants in this round of the tournament. You have one prep spell if you want to do.
I'm going to cast Guardian of Nature. And I'm going to do the Great Tree feature.
Remind me what it does.
Great Tree, your skin appears sparkly as spot for your hair, and you gain the following benefits. You gain 10 temporary hit points. You make Constitution saving throws with advantage. You make Dex and Wisdom-based attack rolls with advantage. And while I am on the ground within 15 feet of you is difficult terrain for your enemies.
Yeah.
Damn.
What is that from? That's not in the PHB, is it?
I think it's the Athars.
Oh,
Sounds
that's
like
a
it.
cool spell.
I like it.
So you become a wood elemental. And we're going to see what happens. It's the wrong die again. That doesn't exist. Just had that. Really? Okay. All right, you're gonna love this. Fade, do you stay in the Champions Lounge, or do you want to go join Avok and Willow?
Oh no, I want to watch from here. I want to be close to the action.
Okay.
Super
So
excited for
you
this.
watch from the programmed illusion in front of
Yep.
you.
Yep.
You watch as the kind of just circle of dirt starts to change and shift, and Kata, as the wall door in front of you lowers, you are hit in the face with a blast of extremely hot, dry air, and sand kind of whips through the opening and brushes against your face. The sunlight is extremely bright, and as you walk out, you can see large sand dunes all around you. You can see cacti. You can actually see a cacti forest relatively close to where you're coming in. You're on sand, but there's a cacti forest right in front of you. You can see a dried out, what looks like a dried out lake or something towards the center of this arena. There's a kind of light sandstorm whipping up dust and sand around you, making it difficult to see. You can hear on the announcements. What would you give them as your name for announcements?
Kata, the material forest.
So they go, Kata, the material force versus Archmage Alandin. And you can see on the other side of the field this kind of older gentleman wearing robes. You can't really tell what he looks like underneath, other than you can see his hands, which are relatively pale and wrinkled from what you can tell. And he carries this very intricately carved staff. And I need a initiative roll.
Okay. 10.
Oof.
All right. So first things first, you see him just kind of smack the staff on the ground. You see a pinpoint of light just shoot at you, and in front of you, this ball of fire erupts. And I need a deck save from you.
Okay.
Kaboom!
Fireball already, eh? Oh, that's a natural 20.
All right. So as you sit there, you watch this fireball come at you. You instantly kind of put your arms up. Some of the bark that's kind of covering your skin now burns away a little bit. It's uncomfortable, but you are able to shield yourself a little bit, and you can actually see some of the sand that you were standing on is glassed from the explosion.
Mm-hmm.
So you were up next.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to change into an air elemental. Wait, how much? Did I take any damage?
I'm not really keeping track of damage so much, just as how many times you get hit and how bad it is. So
Okay.
This is all, again, very cinematic, very much, what sounds cooler. So you blocked the fireball as well as you could. Your arms are a little bit scorched. You're not bleeding as of yet.
Okay. I would still have to make a con save, though, would I? Wouldn't I?
Oh, for concentration, yes. Let's say it's still just a DC 10.
Okay.
Again,
12.
half of 8d6 really is not that much. Like, fireballs are not nearly as useful when it's only against one person. But they are really flashy.
I'm going to change into an air elemental, and I'm gonna use all the sand to make a sand cyclone. I'm gonna use whirlwind on him because I have a lot of speed.
How what is your speed as an air elemental?
90 feet flying.
Shit. So you guys watch as Katja's sitting there and she's kind of patting out the fire on her arms. You see this little glint in her eye that you've seen before, and you know that this wizard is probably going to regret his decision very quickly here. However, what you guys are used to seeing is you used to seeing her just get bigger and bigger, and her skin turns to rocks and things like that, and then she just starts beating people. This time she doesn't. You see her kind of start to fade, and then she starts to sway in the wind, and she goes faster and faster, and suddenly she starts to pick up bits of the glass from the sand and some of the sand itself, and she turns into a living dust devil. And you watch her just explode. And do you want to just go straight at him? Do you want to arc up and down?
Yeah, I think I'll come at him from above.
Okay. Go ahead and make an attack roll for that. I'll give you advantage on it.
Mm-hmm.
Because the wizard wasn't expecting a glass-filled dust devil. Because the glass would have prevented you from...
23.
Yeah, it definitely hits. So as you go... Now, the whirlwind, is that the one where you kind of envelop him and push him out of the space?
Yeah.
Okay. So as you come there and you just collide with him, the little bits of glass that you picked up are slashing at his skin and his robes and everything. And as he's thrown out, his robes are cut to ribbons, and his hood falls down, and you can see not just an old face, an emaciated face. The skin is this pale white color. It's stretched thin, just barely covering his bones. There's spots of black and necrosis all over it. You are not 100% certain that he is alive. In reaction to you becoming a glass dust devil, he doesn't have a lot of shit he can do. You see him grab the staff again, slam it onto the ground, and you see the ground around him, the sand around him get darker and darker and darker and darker, and suddenly you watch his water shoots out and goes over, and I need a dexterity saving throw from
Okay.
you.
10.
Okay, so not enough. This tidal wave comes over and smashes into you, and all the dust and glass and everything that's in there weighs you down and instantly turns to mud as you are slammed into the ground, though I believe you're resistant to bludgeoning damage.
Yes, I am.
All right. So as you sit there and you hit the ground, you suddenly realize for the next turn, because your dust devil is now full of mud, your speed is halved.
Okay.
And you won't be able to do that whirlwind thing until you get rid of all this mud.
Okay.
And he seems to smirk a little bit and be kind of proud of himself. So, what do you want to do? This may be a slightly faster fight.
Thinking my airy fists have a bit more weight to them now. I'm going to try to slam him twice.
Okay, go ahead and make your attack rolls. You watch as Kata comes over, and she's weighted down to the ground. You also can't fly right now.
Yeah.
And she's kind of slunking over to him, and she just raises one kind of muddy, windy fist and just slams it down on him.
By the way, the air elemental's attacks are dex based, so this is going to be with advantage.
Okay.
It's the same thing.
I do still need a concentration check real quick.
I did.
And you were
it was
fine?
17.
Okay, never mind.
Okay.
So what was the
21.
21. Okay, as you sit there and you slam down, he raises his staff and the shield appears around, and the mud and everything just kind of splatters to the four winds. And you're no longer weighted down by that mud. As your second slam comes down, go ahead and make your attack roll.
Try 5.
That one shatters the shield and hits him. And again, you have little bits of glass and everything in there. So as it hits him, the mud again, as it impacts him in the ground, just kind of shatters to the wind. And you see little bits of glass sticking out of his undead flesh.
Should I roll damage?
No, we're not going to worry about damage. Just
Okay.
again, it's more of just a movie.
Lich?
What?
Is this guy freaking lich?
He might be.
You can see he does not look like he's alive.
Mm-hmm.
Gross.
Wunderbar. Okay. Continue.
You're also not 100% certain he can bleed.
Oh, that's cheap.
Who knows? Anything else you want to do with your turn? You're now rid of the mud.
How far?
You were literally right next to him.
Okay, so I don't have time to back up before he.
You could. He'd get an opportunity.
Attack of opportunity.
However, he doesn't look particularly strong or dexterous, so you're not sure exactly how bad an arrow is going to be from him.
It's probably better for me to stick to close range.
Okay.
Yeah, on my turn.
So he sitting there, kind of seeing you after you've done that. He is not particularly pleased with the fact that you are right next to him, so he blinks out of existence. And you see him about 30 feet away. And then he points a finger at you, and this beam of cold blue light goes and attempts to impact you. And definitely hits with a 24.
Yeah.
So you feel ice start to form, and you feel you're having a more difficult time holding your form than you have when you started, because you've been hit by quite a few really powerful spells so far, and your entire form feels sluggish as little bits of ice start floating around inside of you. So your speed is halved, but you can still fly. Which means he still is not far enough away from you. So he runs even further. You see him trying to get over a sand dune so he can kind of break line of sight from you. And he kind of almost makes it. You can only see like his head and shoulders on the other side of the sand dune.
Yeah, I'll realize there are crystals inside me, and I'll like make a blizzard as I flood up to his level, and then just go straight at him.
Okay, so another. Okay, go ahead and. As a reaction, he's going to.
Shield again?
No, he's going to try something a little bit different. But it's all going to depend on what your attack roll is. So make that first.
Okay. 23.
Okay. So as you start coming closer, and the sand is whipping around so fast inside of you, it might as well be razor blades. You get close enough to him, and he puts up his hand, and this cloud of gas just starts erupting from his hand as you hit him and just completely shred the skin on his hand all the way down to the bone. But as he's sitting there, he's still not bleeding. And this cloud of gas instantly starts to suffocate you. So I need a Constitution save.
Okay.
But since you're air, I'll let you do it with advantage.
I already had advantage.
Yeah, from your thingy thing.
Okay. 22.
22. Okay. So you feel massively sick. You feel yourself starting to revert out of the form of the air elemental, and you concentrate as hard as you can, and you're able to stay in it, but you feel really, really bad from whatever it was, that gas that went out. However, as that happens, you see the area start to shimmer and shift, and you're suddenly back in the just big dirt circle. And you don't see clerics rushing forward. You see armed guards and people coming not directly towards you, but towards the person that you just defleshed. And Fade, Avok, and Willow, you guys can tell that whatever's happening right now is not supposed to happen. And as these guards come forward, this creature just kind of waves his hand out, and two of the guards just start gripping their throats and drop to the ground. The third one, as he's walking forward, you watch his body kind of like his armor starts to fall off, and then his skin starts to fall off, and you watch his skeleton just continue walking with glaive or spear and shield towards this creature. So I'm going to have Avok, Willow, and Fade roll initiative for me.
Come on, guys, let's kill. Well, re-kill this thing.
God. Yeah.
So we'll start with Fade.
Total 16.
16, gotcha. Avok.
It's 21.
21, cool. Willow.
7.
7, okay. So, Fade, you are in the Champions Lounge, but you know where the door is, and you think with a double move, you could get out onto the field if you wanted to.
I do that.
Okay. So as you get out there, you see a creature that you have studied before. You think this is not a full lich, but something along that path. Is definitely a creature that is chosen undeath instead of being risen to it. And as you get out there, you still have a bonus action if you want to do anything. Again, we're still going to stick to the kind of narrative-based combat here, but...
No, I think I'm going to just be freaking out a little bit like, no. I'm just sprinting.
As you get there, you feel a hand on your shoulder, and you look to see a figure dressed in black with the symbol of the Dark Lady on his chest run past you as he just kind of taps you on the shoulder and goes. And he goes forward and flying kick goes right past this guy. And the creature just kind of catches the kick in the air and throws him over his shoulder. And he lands on the ground, kind of rolls and pops back up again. Avok, what was yours again?
21.
21. So you should have been before him. Let's pretend you were. What do you want to do?
Avok's freaking gonna run towards that fucking thing.
Okay. You've got about a 30-foot drop from the stands to the ground.
Please.
So as you hit the ground, make me an acrobatics check.
Okay. That's my acrobatics. 5.
It does not feel good.
Yeah.
So you hit the ground. You try to kind of redirect the momentum into a roll so you can start running. Doesn't happen. You hit the ground. You hit the ground hard. Your feet, your ankles hurt like hell. Your knees hurt. Your hips hurt. And you lose most of your movement for that turn, just kind of dealing with the fact that you just dropped 30 feet. But you're about 20, 25 feet away from him at the end of that. Anything else you want to do with your turn?
Avok's gonna get ragey and just continue forward, axe out, and ready to smack this bitch.
So you guys hear this bestial cry as Avok just charges forward towards this guy. Avok, as you're moving forward, this skeleton figure comes over and tries to skewer you with a spear. What's your armor class?
17.
Oh, he's not going to do it. He sits there, and as the spear starts to impact your skin, you just roll your shoulder back, and it goes straight over. However, the skeleton is in between you and this creature,
I want to plow through that thing.
Okay.
I'm just,
Go ahead and
Bears,
just
know
make
your-
me an athletics check.
Yeah. That's nice. All right, that's 24.
The skeleton shatters as you just kind of shoulder charge it and keep moving forward. The creature himself turns towards you, points a finger, and you see this bolt of black energy kind of shoot towards you.
Counterspell.
What level are you casting it at?
Third.
Third. Okay, I need you to make a spell casting roll.
Yup.
Roll high, please. I'm not going to enjoy getting hit by that.
Nope. That's a 10.
Okay, so you sit there and you try to interfere with it, and he just kind of looks at you and sneers as this bolt of black energy heads towards you. Actually, I already rolled and it was a 5, so it didn't matter. So this bolt of black energy just barely misses you, but you feel the skin in your shoulders start to necrotize simply from it getting close to it.
Oh, God, I hate that.
Willow,
Yeah.
you are up in the stands. Avok has just jumped over the side.
Mm-hmm. How far away am I from this
Let's
lich
say
guy?
from the stands and everything, 100 feet, to use easy numbers.
Okay.
If you were to get to the very edge, you could get within about 45 feet. From
Okay, great.
angles.
All right. Then I'm gonna run up closer. My speed's only 25, so if that gets me to the edge, great. If not, wherever that gets me. And just I'm gonna cast Immolation at the lich.
Okay.
So he needs to make a dex save.
Okay. Semi-liches are highly dexterous, as you know.
Get him.
What's your spell save?
1 second. 17.
He fails.
Awesome. Okay.
So what does immolation is just fire, right?
Hold on, doing math.
Again, I'm not caring so much about hit points as much as I am. What does it look like? What does it do?
He is completely wreathed in flames. He is burning brightly, shedding light in a 30-foot radius.
And does he stay on fire and take more fire damage?
Yep, stays on fire. You get to repeat the saving throw at the end of each turn.
Cool.
Another failed save, you take another set of damage.
And
Yep.
What is the damage that he takes? Not what you roll, but what's how many D
Fire
whatever?
damage.
No.
Oh, it was 8d6.
86. Oh, so it's a fireball.
Well,
On one person, that just
Fireball-
keeps him on. They both do 86 is what I'm saying.
8d6. No, you're right. Yes. Mm-hmm.
So
But it's a continuous burn.
yeah, but so you guys watch as Willow just sits there. What do you use as an implement again?
She has a crystal focus on a necklace around her neck.
Okay, so you sit there and you hold on to it, and then you guys watch as just this pillar of fire erupts from the sand, the ground. You watch as the remains of his tattered robe that Kata had shredded just kind of burn away, and you can watch as more bits of his flesh start to burn away, and they'll drip off him in little burning things, and he's screaming out in agony. Kata, you are up next.
No.
You look over and you see the skeleton that Avok shattered is slowly starting to pull itself together.
Ah,
What do you
oh,
want?
God. Let's see. Not expecting this to happen.
He does not look like he's having a good time right now.
Okay, I'm going to attack the one Avok Avok attack twice.
All you have is the lich and the pile of bones is the only enemies,
Uh,
or the
oh,
pseudo.
I have
lich.
I have an idea. How about I use the whirlwind to pick up the bones of the skeleton and then attack the lich with them?
Cool. Make me just a straight up dex roll.
Okay.
I love it.
I'll give you advantage on it because that's a cool idea.
Yeah. 25.
So you guys watch as Kata's wind form moves over to where these bones are trying to knit themselves back together into something, and she just kind of hoovers them up and shoots them like a machine gun at this guy that's on fire. And so you watch his femur and tibia and humerus just pow, 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 pow. A few ribs go and pierce him in different places. And he's looking pretty rough. And then a spear goes straight through where his heart should have been. And he's kind of on the ground, and then he stands up again. So not dead yet, but he's looking rough. That brings us back to Fade.
Can I get up to the lich now if I just sprint at him?
Sure.
So I'm going to
He's
get
on
up to him.
fire, by the way.
Yeah, I don't care.
Okay.
I'm going to reach in to the fire and grab whatever I can grab of him and cast Gentle Repose on him. So if he dies, he stays dead.
Ooh.
What did Gentle Repose do?
You touch a corpse or other remains for the duration, which is 10 days. It is protected from decay and can't become undead. I know it won't turn him not undead, but I want to settle this corpse.
I'm gonna make you make a concentration check just to see if you can concentrate as you are grabbing something on fire.
Sure. 15.
Okay, so you sit there, you burn your hand pretty badly, but you extend the spell energy into him and then pull it back. Your hand is charred a little bit. You've definitely got second and third degree burns on your hand and part of your arm, and your chainmail is scorched there.
So I'm super terrified of this. Like I'm resolved to put him down, but I'm also like terrified that this thing is even up and about.
Mm-hmm. So that ends that. After you take your hand away, almost instantly as you do, you hear a very familiar sound of, and you see 3 of those kunais that came at you before go right past you and into this creature. And they kind of, the first one hits him, and again, with the weight of it, knocks him down. The other 2 go through his shoulders and kind of pin him to the ground. And it looks like your former opponent is kind of reloading. Avok, you are about 10 feet away from him at this point.
Okay.
He's on the ground, pinned on fire.
Fine. Well, time to jump
And
into
he's
the
kind of
bonfire.
glowing with this indigo kind of outline.
That's lovely. Anyways, Avok doing his signature jump up and bringing down the axe.
Right. Go ahead and make your attack roll with advantage.
Yep. Well, this is one attack, though. Anyways, that is a 21.
Definitely hits. How do you want to do this?
Oh, what to do? Let's see. Okay. So yeah, when Avok comes down, he's not really paying attention to what he's aiming for, but I want to say that he comes down right on the crotch.
Ouch.
So you guys watch as Avok comes up and goes, and the bottom half of this creature is bisected, And then Avok kind of spins the handle around and just pushes it forward and continues to bisect the creature all the way through its skull. As that happens, you guys feel this massive kind of collection of magical energy start to form around him. You hear this wailing and screaming. And Avok, you are blown off your feet high into the air, into the stands, and smack, and are rendered unconscious as you are hurled with such force into the stands for 30 seconds or so.
Jesus.
The rest of you guys are kind of blown back. Kata, you have the least blowback because you're air. But the rest of you guys are kind of blown back. Everyone in the stands are blown into their seats. A few people are knocked into the aisles or knocked into each other's. There's some wounds and things like that. But you see this kind of bolt of black energy kind of shoot straight up into the air, and you see this storm of unnatural necrotic energy form above it. And then Fade, you feel your spell start to take hold as something tries to reanimate this body, and you suddenly become kind of this contest of magical power with this big cloud of necrotic energy. And I'd like you to make just a spell attack.
Can I wave at this this monk guy? Get over here, give me your hand. See if I can help him channel.
I'll give you advantage for that.
213.
Okay. So as you sit there holding it, he comes over and he places his hand on your shoulder, and his tunic begins to glow slightly. That same indigo glow, and you sit there, and both of you are shot backwards. Fade, you watch as your vision kind of tunnels for a little bit, and then you're unconscious. The rest of, just Cat and Willow, watch as this necrotic storm cloud just kind of dissipates, and you can see this black energy kind of going all over Fade, and then it slowly kind of dissipates and grounds out. Fade, you, Avok, you wake up first. Pretty massive headache and quite a few bumps and bruises, but for the most part, you're okay.
The fuck was that?
Fade, about 20 seconds after that, you wake up. The monk has pulled down his face mask, and you realize that he's taken smelling salts out, and he's waving them under your nose, so you're kind of overwhelmed with this very strong odor that kind of wakes you up.
I shoot up and start looking around for Willow.
Willow is racing down as fast as she can get there.
Okay, are you going to jump the 30 feet down, or are you going to go the normal way of going out?
She'll cast Featherfall and jump down.
Okay, so Fade, as you wake up, you watch as Willow is just very gracefully floating down.
My angel.
Are you okay?
No. What? Did you see what that thing was?
You, as you guys are speaking, you see the Prince Consort coming towards you guys in full emerald armor. With his hand, he seems to be sheathing his sword as he comes over, and he kind of reaches down and tries to help you up. And he turns to you guys and he goes, Are you all right?
Is the body still there?
Pieces of it are.
I frantically start looking around. Where's the skull?
There are two halves of the skull. The body's been bisected. So
Nice, Avok. I just look over my shoulder. Nice. And I grab my copper coins and I just go like shove my thumbs holding these coins down on the skull, and just bring the pieces back over, not letting go.
okay. So he looks at you and he's like, "Well, what are you doing?"
We don't want this thing back, right? Keep these here.
Oh, yes, that makes sense. You see him kind of turn, and the Eternal Empress is there, and you watch her kind of wave her hand a little bit, and suddenly his voice becomes very loud as he addresses the crowd. The tournament will be placed on hold until tomorrow while we deal with these turns of events. Do not worry, the tournament will proceed as scheduled. We just need some time to clean this mess up. Please return to your homes and check in with the gods on the way out so we can get an accurate head count. And then he kind of turns to you guys, and the first words out of his mouth are massively loud as he forgets his voice is amplified. And he turns to the Eternal Empress, and she kind of stifles a laugh as she waves her hand again.
At this point, Avok should probably be there. But...
Yeah, you guys are all there. He goes, "What in the world was that?"
Good question.
Will you?
I start explaining.
And he sits there and he's like, "Necromancy is a necessary evil to a point, but this study of lichdom is forbidden and has been for millennia. We haven't had full-blown necromancers in generations. I mean, every so often we'll have a wizard that delves a little bit too closely, but we have them very closely watched, and this shouldn't have happened. I'm very, very sorry. You," and he points to someone that has recently appeared, and you guys haven't seen this guy yet, but he is a more portly Eladrin, which is unique to you guys because you're very used to seeing all Eladrin very attractive, very thin and kind of tall, and this guy's a little bit more dumpy, and he's got a gut and jowls and things like that. You've never seen a fat Eladrin before. That's what he is. And he comes over, and he goes down with great effort onto one knee to show his respect for the Empress and the Prince Consort. And then he sits there, he tries to get up, and you notice he can't. And so he calls a couple people over, and two of the guards kind of help him stand back up. He goes, "Your Highness, listen, we vet all of our combatants. I can't tell you what happened." And the prince goes, "Silence. How in the world did someone like that make it through a preliminary match?" And suddenly the Eternal Empress kind of puts her hand on his shoulder and goes, "My love, calm down. Lord Repidgast, it would seem someone has infiltrated your tournament." "Well, I don't see how that's possible. See, our particular security measures would prevent..." "Are you trying to tell me that you purposefully put someone in the process of lichdom into the arena with one of my friends. No, no, of course it must have been that, there, I'm sorry, Lichdom, that doesn't sound, of course not. So obviously, your security measures were somehow duped by this person. Yes, yes, that must be what it is. Then, of course, you're going to revise those security measures to ensure nothing like this ever happens again. Of course, my Empress, I would never allow my combatants to be put in a dangerous position like that. And obviously, you're going to do a full investigation to find out how and why this person was in this battle and just coincidentally happened to be paired against one of the champions from the prime material plane. Oh, yes, that is quite coincidental, isn't it? I would say that there is no coincidence at all in my eyes. It would seem to me someone has it out for these people. They were attacked on their way here, and now they've been attacked within my city, which does not make me very happy. And this time it's the prince consort who kind of puts his hand on her shoulder and go, my love, perhaps we should retire and discuss this in private. And you guys could see her getting darker and darker and more angry. And as soon as he kind of touches her arm, she relaxes a little bit and goes, certainly, yes. She turns to you. I trust you can take care of yourselves, or do you desire aid in healing? I can provide my clerics to mend any wounds you have if you have need of it.
Do I still feel sick from that thing he blasted at me?
You don't feel great, but you don't feel like poisoned or anything. It's just kind of, kind of a lingering malaise. You think it'll probably go away after a little while.
Okay.
Kind of that feeling after you've thrown up. You don't feel great, but you feel better than before.
Yeah, I know that feeling.
Sorry, what'd you say?
Do we believe that guy knew nothing about what was happening?
You can roll an insight check.
Okay.
Yeah, sure. Yep.
So 13.
11.
24.
So Kata,
Nice, Willow.
you're still not particularly great
Oh my
at
God!
reading humans. And Faye gets a nat 20. So Kata, you're still not particularly good at reading humanoids in general. And the only thing you're getting from him is fear.
Okay.
Avok, you're still kind of focusing on the fact that he's a fat Eladrin.
Not really. He just seems like a bumblefuck.
Willow and Fade, however, you guys are both looking at him. He's obviously afraid of the Eternal Empress and the Prince Consort, and you think justifiably so. You haven't seen either of them do anything, but both of you can sense a power in them to the point that you wouldn't want to fight them. But you don't sense any deception other than he did lie a couple of times as a way to kind of save face.
Sure.
So he was boasting and trying to deflect it so that it couldn't possibly have been his fault, which both of you have seen that happen before. You're familiar with those kind of lies where it's not my fault, it's this person's. Though normally when you saw it, it was an Eladrin finding a way to blame a non-Eladrin for something they'd done. So you
Right.
recognize that. However, you don't sense any malice or anything behind it. It looks like he was just trying to cover his ass.
Sure. Okay.
So, so the Eternal Empress made an offer that her clerics could help heal you guys. Do you accept? Do you say no thanks?
Yeah. Yeah, I'll accept.
Okay.
Does she stick around for this, or is she leaving?
She looks to be getting ready to head off because the prince consort is kind of as a ways to diffuse this situation. He said, "You know what? We should talk about this alone." Because you saw she was getting pretty upset with this guy.
As she starts to walk away, I guess I'll say, "I beg your pardon, Empress. Might we have an audience in the near future?"
Why don't you join us for dinner? It's getting later in the day. Our chef should be preparing something within the next 2 hours, let's say.
Wonderful.
It will be simply the prince consort and I and you 5. So we can discuss whatever you feel necessary.
Thank you. We will see you soon.
And I apologize for this repeated attempt on your life. It should not have happened.
It does happen all the time with us. We're used to it.
Perhaps, well, when there's one unifying aspect, perhaps you invite things to kill you. You may wish to think about your actions. This is not a healthy way to live. You can see
I
her
apologize
with just
for
the
helping out people just
slightest bit of a smile as she kind of laughs at her own joke.
Yeah, you tell us.
Avok's not laughing. He's pretty much giving you the fuck you stare.
And the prince consort kind of gives you a knowing look and a nod and says, we will take our leave from you. See you in a few hours. Oh, and Avok. He turns to you. That was a
Yeah.
hell of a blow.
Yeah. I wasn't really aiming for anything, but actually, now that I think about it, yeah, he's not going to enjoy that in the afterlife.
And he kind of just pats you on the shoulder and walks away. And as soon as they leave, a few clerics come over. One of them takes your hand, Fade, and they start applying a salve to the burns and casting healing magic on it to get rid of it. You notice the burns themselves are not reacting completely to the healing magic like you think they should.
Oh, good.
But the salve combined with that, and the fact that you've got like 3 clerics all working on you, gets your hand back to fully working order. But you do kind of make note that whatever just happened did not heal like it should have without considerable effort. Kata, you're when you shift back into your human form, you are surprised to see you have cuts and bruises on your body. And you've never had that happen from a transformation unless something hits you hard enough to knock you out of it. So the clerics come over and they cure you and everything, but you do find that very odd. And then obviously Avok and Willow, you guys are, well, Avok, you're used to getting the crap kicked out of you. Willow, you didn't, all you really got was blown back, so.
Right.
Yeah, if they try to tempt me, I'm just like, fuck off.
They don't seem willing to fight.
Good.
So, with that, I'm going to go ahead and end it for tonight. We'll pick up at dinner in 3 weeks. This month has 5 Wednesdays, and because of my school, I've had to cancel quite a few sessions. So I'm actually going to be running The Legend of the Three Kingdoms next week and the week after. So these guys will be back in 3 weeks. Otherwise, for everyone that's watching, thanks for tuning in. If you missed any part of the show, they all go up on my YouTube channel. It's youtube.com/trainerjody. And other than that, feel free to follow me on Twitter, subscribe to my YouTube channel. I am now officially a college graduate. I have a bachelor's degree in marketing management. I now can start focusing on my channel again and putting out more content, and I may even start streaming more and stuff like that. So feel free to subscribe to the YouTube channel and follow me on Twitter, because anytime I put a video up, it will be posted there as well. And with how great YouTube is about putting videos in sub boxes or notifications, just follow me on Twitter. It's more likely you'll see it. Otherwise, that's all for me today. I'll see you guys next time. All right? Bye-bye.